I know that when we are with someone who's got an avoidant attachment style and we have an anxious attachment style, it can be a painful roller coaster. I know because majority of the people who were in my life had an avoidant or may still have an avoidant attachment style. What helped me was taking responsibility. I saw the red flags. We all do. We know that time when something just didn't feel right and we overlooked it. Because the thing about someone with an anxious attachment style is that you're always looking for the good in people. And we tend to all project what we feel and think about someone else onto them. So we feel like, if we've got the strength to be vulnerable, if we have the strength to be open to intimacy, if we are trusting, then everyone else must be the same way. And so we meet a person with an avoidant attachment style, and in the beginning, they are comfortable, they are relaxed because they don't know us enough. They don't know us enough to like us or love us just yet. So if we choose to leave them in a month or two, it's not really going to be devastating. And in that time, they're open and vulnerable and affectionate. And someone with an anxious attachment style gets sucked into it because that's what you're looking for all of your life. And we tend to think every time we meet someone new that, oh, this is it, because this feels different. And why do we do that? We forget that the last relationship, it also felt very different for the first 3 to 4 months, right? And then after that, what happens is the avoidant attached starts to feel suffocated. They start to feel as though they have to show up in a particular way. It's like, oh my gosh, this person really likes me. This is going somewhere. They're probably expecting a commitment. I'm not sure if I could do this again. I'm not sure if I could allow myself to be open. What happens if they leave me like everyone else does? And so what happens then is that they start to pull back. They start to protect themselves. And the anxious attached, who I was more of, starts to reach out and grab, and it's like, hey, let's talk about this. I'm feeling a disconnect. I'm noticing there's a change here. What's going on? Now that only puts a little more pressure on the person with the avoidant attachment style, and they're like, oh boy, this does not feel good. This feels like my childhood. Sorry. And what they may not have realized, or they may not realize, is that this is all linked to childhood. This is all linked to not feeling like they had their independence, their autonomy, not feeling like they could depend on their caregivers to be there consistently, not feeling like they were good enough in childhood. So if I'm not good enough in childhood and I'm not good enough in the next relationship and the next one and the next one and the next one, then I'm probably not going to be good enough for this person. There are a lot of insecurities and trust issues, which has nothing to do with you, and which was something that I did not know when I was more of an anxious attachment style. Now, I had to take responsibility because, for 2 reasons. One, more importantly, I could not live with the pain of not feeling chosen, not feeling good enough, of always feeling like I was giving and giving and giving, and it just never worked out. And so I started to learn more about attachment styles. I started to learn about my own because I wanted to heal. I wanted to stop the pain. And the second reason was I just couldn't be in these relationships anymore. I had to figure out what was broken within me so that I could take control and not leave that control up to someone else. I did not want to leave my emotions in the hands of someone else. So I took back power, learned about attachment styles, learned about the secure attached style person, started to mirror that behavior, started to pretend as though I was a secure attached, started to change my own patterns. Instead of reaching out to a partner if I felt like they were pulling away, I sat with those emotions. I learned how to ground myself, learned about their attachment style, what caused their trauma, and started to pay attention to their actions and know that, all right, if things were getting close, If we were getting too close and they pulled away, I knew it had nothing to do with me. I knew there was something happening in their minds that was attached to their trauma, and I could not fight with their trauma. I do not have the strength, I do not have the ability, the capability, the capacity to fight with someone else's trauma. And that allowed me to release relationships when they wanted to go, when they needed to end, and not take on the blame or the responsibility for it. So learning about attachment style is perhaps the only way that you could free yourself, you could heal yourself, and stop falling into the trap of thinking that if I give and give and give and wait and wait and wait, they're eventually going to see it. This is not a case of them not seeing your worth or your value. If you're someone with an anxious attachment style, of course, you're a wonderful person. You're a good person. You're someone that's made of long-term partnership material. That does not mean that you don't want to work on your attachment style as well, because I remember that I was very intense, very needy, clingy. I needed validation. I needed validation from someone else, and when I didn't get it, I got upset with them. So I had to learn how to give myself that validation, how to see my own worth, my own value. And when you see your own value, then you could set those boundaries. Then you could say, no, you don't get to talk to me this way. You don't get to treat me this way. You don't get to use these words and behaviors on me, because I love me and I treat me better. And so I won't allow anyone else to do it. And so all of the things that we preach about on social media, learn how to set your boundaries, learn self-respect, have self-esteem, learn self-love, all of these things become natural, a part of you, when you start to heal those attachment wounds, when we're able to go back to that child within us and perhaps not heal the child, but just love the child. You've got this. I know it can be difficult. I've been there. But I promise you, and I don't make promises lightly, I promise you, when you get on that healing journey and you learn really what self-love is, how to put you first, they can leave. And you're going to miss them. You're going to love them. But you're going to also hope. And you're going to also hope that they find their peace and happiness. You won't be angry. You won't be devastated. You'll be all right.